We're going to be talking about chart 19.8, and I'm calling that words that can show if this thing doesn't happen, then this thing happens. So if you take a look at this sentence, you wear a coat, you get cold. So if this thing doesn't happen, then this thing happens. So if this thing doesn't happen, then this thing happens. So there are a few ways to say that in English, and we're going to be talking about those. So probably the simplest way is to say if you don't wear a coat, you won't get cold. Oh, and I need to, if we'll join the two sentences together. So I'll put, if you don't wear a coat, comma, you'll get cold. Okay? Now, another word that means basically the same as if and not is unless. So I could say, also say, unless you wear a coat, you'll get cold. Okay? So unless is used when I want to say basically the same idea as if not. So I can say, if you don't wear a coat, you'll get cold. Unless you wear a coat, if this doesn't happen, you'll get cold. Let me give one more example. So I could say, it rains, let me see this. If it doesn't rain, my garden will die. My garden will die. Okay? So if it doesn't rain, my garden will die. I can say the same idea with if and not by saying, unless it rains, my garden will die. Okay? And these two mean exactly the same thing. Okay. So, one more thing. Unless works the same as if and not. So if I say, if you don't wear a coat, you'll get cold, I can switch those and I can say, you'll get cold if you don't wear a coat. Also, with unless, I can do the same thing. I can say, unless you wear a coat, comma, you'll get cold. Or I can switch them and say, unless you wear a coat, no comma, you'll get cold. Okay, same thing. I can say, my garden, unless it rains, comma, my garden will die. Or I can say, my garden will die unless it rains. Okay. Now, let's go on to another way that we can say this. How about this? Okay. Okay, so okay, so I could say you need to wear a coat, you'll get cold. You have to wear a coat, you'll get cold. You should wear a coat, you'll get cold. You must wear a coat, you'll get cold. Excuse me just a second. I want to make some more room here. Now, the next word that we're going to talk about is usually used when it's a situation where the feeling or the idea is you must do this, or this should happen, or this has to happen. Okay, so usually when I use the word we're going to talk about, I'll either use a word like this, like you have to, or you need to, or you must, or it'll be a situation where there's that feeling, or where there's that situation. I'd say don't worry so much about the feeling, but it'll have this meaning. I think if we say feeling, that makes it very unclear. And I want this to be as clear as I can. So the word we're talking about here is otherwise. Okay? And so otherwise is the same family of words as therefore and however. Okay? So because it's the same family of words, it does not join sentences. Okay? Again, that family of words in your book is called transitions. Otherwise, your book considers a transition and it doesn't join sentences. So, if I want to join these two, if I want to put these two ideas together, I can say this: you need to wear a coat, period. Otherwise, you'll get cold. If I want to join the two sentences, otherwise cannot join them, but I can join them with a semicolon. And I can say, you need to wear a coat, semicolon, small o, because it's not a new sentence. Otherwise, you'll get cold. Okay? So again, otherwise is usually used with the sense of, or with the meaning of, you need to do this, or this must happen, or this should happen, or this has to happen. Okay. Okay. There's another word that that means the same as otherwise, but it's a different family. So let me talk to you about that. I could also say this. I could say, you need to wear a coat. Or I could say, or else you'll get cold. And again, or else is usually used with you need to, with this idea of you need to, you have to, you should, you must. So I might say, you need to wear a coat. And then if I use or else works like a conjunction. Oh, sorry, works like a fanboys word if you've studied fanboys. If you haven't studied fanboys, what you need to know is, if I join two sentences with or else, I use a comma. If I join two sentences with or else, I use a comma. So I could say, you need to wear a coat, comma, or else you'll get cold. Notice otherwise uses a comma, or else does not use a comma. Now, let's do a few more sentences with that so you can get a sense of this. So, so I might say, remember that I gave that example about if it doesn't rain, my garden will die. I could frame that. I could say that in a way that has this idea, this needs to happen. So I might say, we need rain. Or, it needs to rain. or or I might say, it must rain, it has to rain. So notice I have this sense of I need to or it must, and then I might say, we need rain, and I could say either period or semicolon, otherwise my garden will die. Or I could say, we need rain, comma, or else, oops, sorry, comma after otherwise, and I say, or else my garden will die. Okay, let me give a few more examples, just to kind of make this a little bit clearer. You should save your money. Let me see here. I might say, you should save your money. And so, again, I have this should. Or I could say, you need to save your money. Or you must save your money. Or you have to save your money. You must save your money, or you should save your money. And I can say, semicolon, otherwise, you won't have enough by the end, you won't have enough money at the end of the month. Or here I'll make that a little shorter and just say, otherwise you won't have enough at the end of the month. Again, the point that I want to make clear is when I use otherwise, or when I use comma, or else, when I use otherwise with a semicolon, or when I use or else, with a comma, then the other sentence has this sense or this meaning of this needs to happen, it must happen, it should happen, and so on. Okay, I think that is everything that I need to tell you about chart 19, which number was that? 19.9. If you have questions, or if you look at this video again and you say, what is this about must or should or something? Or what is this? There's something I don't understand. Please write those questions down. Remember that Tran is available to talk to you every Tuesday and Thursday from 5:30 to 6:45, and I'll send out the link. And also remember that we will have a question and answer session on Thursdays, every Thursday, from starting at 7 o'clock. And we'll probably just go as long as you have questions. Okay. So, thank you very much, and have a good weekend.